Hello and welcome to the first episode of The Fifth Chair. My name is Dr. Dan and I'm really excited to be bringing you this weekly review of Australia's third season of The Voice. So let's get started. Despite my promise to watch each and every episode of The Voice, we won't be reviewing each and every performance. There simply isn't enough time. I am, however, going to be selecting specific performances that I believe allow us to zero in on particular technical skills and performance practices. Allow me to stress that this is an educational endeavour, and so I eagerly invite discussion through the Djarts Facebook page and my YouTube channel. As I often find myself saying, let's learn from each other. And before diving into our first review, I'd like to also take this opportunity to encourage you to visit The Voice Australia's website, thevoice.com.au. There's a heap of info there, including full-length videos of each episode, performer profiles, and behind-the-scenes videos for your enjoyment. So, check it out. After you watch this video, of course, right to the end, because that's when I'm going to be giving you my top performers list. The singers who I think have got what it takes to go the distance. So, let's dive in. When I started watching the first show on Sunday night, I was pleasantly surprised by the first performer, Cat Jade. The voice was healthy and I thought that she sang the pop belt piece, Wrecking Ball, quite well. When the second performer, Matt Verivas, took the stage and gave an equally impressive performance of New York State of Mind, I was a little concerned. Without being really nitpicky, what was I going to be able to say? But our third performer saved me. Frank Loukoudas gave us our first point of review. Throughout the next couple of months, I'm going to be constantly differentiating between function and aesthetic, where function is the technical coordination of the voice, and where aesthetic is the value of the sound that we find engaging, stimulating, and pleasant to listen to. Admittedly, when I first heard Frank's voice, I was excited by his vocal aesthetic. Here we had a hard rock voice, singing in the tenor range, but as always, the devil is in the detail. That edgy, gritty sound that I, and no doubt many others, find alluring is called distorted voice. The problem with this distorted sound is it's very difficult to sustain long term. So when Frank finished his performance, his spoken voice locked up and will.i.am had to bring him a glass of water. As you can hear, Frank's spoken voice was smashed from his 90 seconds of singing. It may well be that the highly charged moment and his resulting performance anxiety got the better of him. Who wouldn't be nervous? Regardless, Frank is going to need to reconcile his preference for distorted sounds against the need to perform consistently over the coming months of the season. One of the many complaints I've heard about TV talent shows from fellow singing teachers over the years is that they often present that bigger is better. Louise's performance from Monday night is an excellent example. Let's have a listen. Yes, the big voice sounds impressive, but bigger isn't necessarily better. Actually, more often than not, bigger is actually easier. Those artists who can harness the big sound should definitely use it. And I hope that Louise finds opportunities in coming weeks to show us her versatility and a more skillful use of dynamics. Because what we often hear on TV talent shows is blatantly undisciplined volume that is presented with little, if any, crafting. So it was refreshing to hear Emily Rex sing Pure Imagination from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. A quiet sound is more difficult to produce than a loud one because the vocal folds need to operate with less breath flow, whereas loud singing simply requires brute force to produce even the most rudimentary of sounds. Unfortunately, Emily's performance was less than ideal. Her vocal tone wavered due to inconsistent breath flow that can only be improved with regular, intentionally designed breath management exercises. This technical weakness could leave Emily exposed in future rounds. Time will tell. Over the coming weeks and months, you are going to hear me make some critical comments about the singers that we are both watching and hearing. I'm committed to making these comments in an honest and a positive manner. I want to assure you that I'm not single-mindedly focused on perfect notes. Singing never has been and never will be about perfection. Singing is about communication. So let's take a quick moment to listen to a veteran communicate through his music. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. I couldn't agree more, Joel. Authenticity in performance should be the ultimate goal for every performer. I often say to my students, don't circumnavigate the journey. The journey has too much to teach you. Harry's been doing this for quite some time. So when his opportunity came to perform, his experience caused him to be authentic. Nothing else really matters if you get that right. Now, before we bring the first episode of The Fifth Chair to a close, I want to take a quick moment to remind us that the people we are watching on our TVs are human beings. Human beings with dreams and aspirations just like you and me. So when the chairs don't spin, the emotional roller coaster takes a turn that the individual is probably not expecting. Wednesday night's program had the most non-chair turns of all the nights this week. I especially felt for the young 16-year-old Jasmine who sang Sober. She wasn't ready for the moment. How can she be? She's only 16. But herein lies the issue. If she's not ready for success on a national stage, then she most certainly isn't ready for failure on a national stage. We can only hope that all of the unsuccessful contestants are able to pick themselves up and dust themselves off, ready for another performance. This is definitely my hope for Jasmine. Now that we've heard all the voices from the blind audition rounds, week 1, it's prediction time. Having watched each of the performances this week, I'm going to nominate who I think the voices to watch are. Here are my first 4 picks for Dr. Dan's Fifth Chair Top 8. So keep an eye and an ear out for Kat Jade, Matt Verevis, Ellie O and Hayley Jensen. Now, I'm not naive enough to believe my top 8 will be the same as the wider viewing audience, so it'll be interesting to see if any of my top 8 are still there during the final show. If you've been watching the program this week, you'll have formed your own opinions. So, come on, put your money where your mouth is and let us know who your favourite performers are so far. Finally, each episode I'm going to close with my pick of the week. A performance which I think deserves highlighting. Now, there were a number of great, outstanding performances this week. But the following artist presented a sound interpretation of Billy Joel's New York State of Mind. Have a great week and remember to share this video with all your friends who love The Voice Australia. Until next week, I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.